Hey everybody, NC4XL North Carolina for extreme lovers. Shortcuts and tips for the new activators and those of you thinking you want to go out and activate. These are just some ideas for you to consider so that you can go out and do an activation without being overwhelmed. Remember, if you're already activating, you may want to try some of these things too. But if not, and you're thinking about going out and activate, give this a shot. See if it'll work for you. Bottom line, remember, you have to be at a POTA park to do a park-to-park contact. That's one of the parks that isn't assigned a POTA park number. You can't go to a county park and call park to park because your park that you're at is not part of the present Parks on the Air system. There's requirements, and that goes through your mapping coordinator. You send the information, they'll try to verify yay or nay. And if they tell you nay, it just doesn't qualify. Simple as that. Don't worry about it. Go on down to the next day. But let's talk about some ways to help you who are brand new to activating or thinking about activating. We're going to talk about contest. Oh, there's that ugly word. I hate it. I hate contest. Except when it's time that the contest is going on and you as a brand new activator are in a park, POTA park, okay, and you don't have to worry about telling them where you're at. I'll say it again. The contest people you're contacting, that's your contact, goes in your log that you upload to POTA Parks on the Air, okay? They don't care one diddly squat that you're in a park, okay? Very simple. They don't care. So don't worry about it. Do the exchange, log it, and keep on going. Keep on going. You can run 100, 200, 300 contacts very seriously, and I've done it, folks, so I do have some experience with what we're sharing. Just log it. Time, date, frequency. Give them the exchange they want. Go about your business. I will generally start at one end of the band and work my way up the band. Then I'll go to another band and I'll start again. So I'm going to go to 15. I'm going to go to 17 if the Warwick bands are allowed on that frequency. Generally, Warwick bands are not permitted in contest. So if you want to activate a park, that's a great band to go on during contest time because we are not a contest. So, but going back to 15 and 12 and 10 and so forth, that allows you to do nothing but just work who you hear. If you're writing it on paper, it may get confusing. You may get dupes, and guess what? Who cares? The dupe is not going to break the day. If you're logging on a computer and the dupe shows up, fine. Just hit the enter key and keep on going. Worry about the dupes at the end of the day. Just make your contacts that you're seeking. Very simple. When there's a contest, don't be afraid to go out. I'll say it again. When there's a contest, do not be afraid to go out, but get yourself ready to go out. Get in your park and go have some fun. Very simple. That's an easy way to get an activation or two under your belt. Okay? And have fun. Remember, contesting folks have no concern about what park you're in. They just want the contact. And when we're out there doing park to park and hunters are chasing us, we want the contact, but we don't want to be so contest orientated that we're non-personable. I try very hard to have fun while I'm out there And not all of us chit chat. Some will just take a hurry and keystroke it in the computer and keep on going. But that's one thing about being an activator. You be you. You do your activation the way you want to do it. Remember, as an activator, all of your equipment, that's the batteries, if you're going to run off of the battery and not plugged into a campsite power source, your antenna, your transceiver, everything's got to be inside the park, not the antennas inside the park and you're working remote because you have a long enough run of coax to outside of the park. No, that's not complete. All parts of the activation must be in the park. So that's simple enough. There's no questioning it. That's how it is. Now, if you're doing park to parks with people, 90% of us activators, when we hear park to park, we're going to stop our activation and work the park to parks first. It's up to the activators to upload the logs. So if you go out and you get 7 contacts, that's not 10, and you're frustrated and feeling, whoa, I failed. You did not fail. You learned, you experienced, and you had fun. Still upload those 7 contacts, because those people on the other side, whether you know it or not, they might be working towards specific goals, and you're a part of it. Okay? When you work park to park, you don't realize you might be their number 10. So never be ashamed of working park to park. If you're running QRP, again, as an activator, remember this, if you're running QRP, it's going to be probably a little bit more difficult pending band propagation. Band propagation, none of us control. We only get to play with it. Some days 10 watts is like 100. Some days 10 watts is like 1. We don't get to control it. We only get to operate with it. So when you go out, write it on paper. I always suggest writing it on paper. Don't worry about another device to overheat or battery fail. And if you're not going to make that many contacts, if you can't do 10 or 20 contacts or whatever on a piece of paper, I don't know what to say. It's very easy to do. Make sure you write on the paper the park number in so that you don't get dyslexic like I do and give out the wrong park number. If at all, and I use an app on my phone that allows me to have dual clock in front of me, one local time and one UTC time. So I always write on my paper the UTC start time. I write on my paper the frequency. I write on my paper the park number, and I write it on 2 or 3 pages, the park number, so I don't forget it. Then I just go out and have fun. Many of you that may do it on paper may count it up as you're going along. I don't. I never know how many contacts I have until I have taken the antenna down and put everything in the car, because I'm not going to run back and, get one more. No, take whatever you got. There's a point where you're going to be tired and shut it down. Simple as that. The numbers will be what they are. Now, let's talk one more thing about numbers. Some people really get upset. Oh, you're a dupe. I worked you. That's fine. Shrug it off, because when activators are running on different bands, they're more than apt to pick up dupes, because somebody worked you on 40, you went back to 40 later in the day. They don't remember because they worked you on 15 and 12. So they work you on 40, and then you call up and say, well, I already worked you. Just write it down and keep going. A dupe is not going to hurt anybody. If you look at any of my postings, and I put it this way, I had 289 contacts and 283 were accredited. That means the other 6 were dupes. So what? It's not a race. Put what you hear down. Put what you hear down. I'll say it again. Write down what you heard. And to the best of your ability, go from there. And if you're logging on a device, obviously, most people get in the practice of seeing where they're at and see a name pop up. I don't go by David on the air. Somebody calls me that. I know they're looking at a laptop and they don't know my nickname is Dom, the darling old man, but I'm not going to get mad. I just say, okay, I just keep going because it really doesn't make a difference. Try not to be confrontational while you're out having fun. But my paper doesn't fail me most of the time. My ink pen may freeze up in the wintertime. I've been around scenarios where laptops die or get hard to see the screen because of the sun and things of that nature. So why in the beginning would you want to put some issues in front of you that are not necessary? After you get a few under your belt and you feel comfortable, and nobody's going to tell you when you should feel comfortable, you make that determination, then go out and do it. If you want to make it a little bit easier on an activation, QRP it. Go QRP, go to 10 watts, go to 5 watts. You'll have less of a pile up. And if you're able to spot yourself, even spot yourself on the spotting page, QRP. That makes people like me listen a little bit harder to hopefully hear you. Because I know I'm running 80 watts and you should hear me, but I may not hear you as well. And not realizing your QRP, I'm not listening long enough to make sure I heard you. So there you go. That's my Babylon. Amateur radio is supposed to be fun. And you and I are the ones that make it fun. I have goals for me, myself, and I. All 3 of us have chosen a few things. I've got 1 major left. After that, I don't know what direction I'm going to go. I've accomplished a lot of the tasks at hand. And some I had a long time ago, but I can't reach them, so I'm not going to worry about them. I'm just going to go out and have fun. And that's what we want you activators to do. Realize you're not in a race with the next person. The only person you're in a race with is with yourself. And if you'll take and learn the me, myself, and I, we're going to go out and have fun attitude. You'll do just fine, whether you get 7 or 70 or 170 or 470. It's not a contest. It's an opportunity for you to experience and continue to grow at your speed, at your rate that you choose. May God bless you. Thank you for listening all this time. You are important as an activator, very important. Those hunters out there, if it wasn't for you activators, they would have nothing to do but spin the dial on their radio and then send their radio in for repair because they spun it off. 73's November Charlie 4X-Ray Lima. NC4XL. Oh, North Carolina for extreme lovers? I'm not. Just Dom. Till we get on the air, 73's.